Hello, once again, YouTube. I have my orange run commentary hoodie on. It's East, and I'm here to recap a run I did recently. 62 Fear surface cleared with the aspect of Charon. A couple notes before we get started with this one. There has recently been a preview patch released by Supergiant for Hades 2, and these next two run commentary videos you'll be seeing, Charon and Millennium Skull. These runs were both completed on the preview patch, so you may notice some differences from normal patch 1.0. Nothing really to worry about, mostly minor changes. No like real major adjustments. I will talk about some of the changes and how they impact the run. Generally, I think it's a pretty positive change for surface speedruns. I think it's like, really nice, and am excited for hopefully these changes becoming released in a patch in the future. Also a note for this Charon video, you may notice like Erebus music is looping in the background here. I have the Hades 2 OST on. I actually recorded this run offline, and I was listening to a really thoughtful video by Wolfie BGC talking about his experience at Pokemon tournaments. And obviously that's copyrighted audio. I can't just play that and have everybody listen to it along with me while I do the run commentary. So the audio from the run is going to be on mute. So I'll stop and talk a lot about the run and things like that to try and fill space. And then we've got the lovely OST by Darren Korb in the background to tide us over while we do that. So without further ado, let's get started with the run. So first thing I think I'd like to talk about is there's a couple decisions to sort of make when playing Charon. This is an aspect that, unlike a blade aspect or a staff aspect, the main draw of Charon are particularly powerful gain boons and particularly powerful hammers. And this is a theme that'll come up in the Mel Skull run as well. Essentially, I am using the Jeweled Palm, but I am very excited to see Lucid Gain from Apollo and a lot of boons from Hera as well. So the ideal run, as you can see, this is a victory. So obviously, spoiler alert, we win the run. The ingredients to a winning run for Charon are Lucid Gain for mana, Nova Flourish for damage, or Warren Flourish from Hera for damage. Both are pretty good. And then various other boons that increase the potency of our Omega Special and Omega Cast, because Charon pops the cast for big damage. Additionally, we'll be looking for Giga Cleaver from Daedalus Hammers, although Sudden Cleaver I find is also quite good. For familiars, most people will probably be accustomed to Hecuba, the dog being run, but with the change to Lucid Gain in 1.0, as long as you have enough mana to use your Omega Special with Charon once, you don't need any more max mana than that. So Hecuba, unfortunately, isn't actually that useful in the run anymore. We get Old Grudge starting out as our boon from Hades. As you can see, I'm a little low on mana to start off the run, so I'm mostly just relying on the special, getting an Omega Special in there to take care of that bulky enemy more quickly. We see Apollo on the wall, and that's what we want to see early on in this run. Key thing with Charon early on, we have very limited uses of our Omega Special, so we're just trying to line enemies up appropriately. But that kind of all changes here, because we get offered Lucid Gain. And importantly, we get offered Lucid Gain and don't have to choose it over Nova Flourish. So our special from Apollo is still in play. We'll likely immediately go down to where the Daedalus Hammer is, although I could be wrong. Let's pause here and talk a little bit about strategy. This is going to end up being a very interesting decision tree through Ephyra. So Ephyra is a region in which you get 6 rooms in which you break the pylons, and then you get to escape. Now, Because I'm at Fate's Whim, I don't have the ability to re-roll doors. And because I can't re-roll doors, I have to be kind of judicious about what rooms I take. I really don't like Zeus on Charon pretty much at all. I'll try to actively avoid him if possible. I'm not crazy about Hephaestus either, but it's not the end of the world. I do want to see Hera, and I do want to see Apollo. In addition, not all rooms in Ephyra are created equal. Some of these rooms, I guess you can't really see my mouse on screen, but that's okay. Some of the rooms, like the room in which Selene is showing on right now, take longer and tend to have more difficult combats than others. That's also true of the room Apollo is showing on. But I will obviously go to that room, even if it would be a time loss. Managing your timer is very important early on in Surface because Olympus tends to be a pretty big time drain. The fastest rooms normally are Medea, which is a timer pause skip. The smaller rooms, like the ones that the Daedalus Hammer and the Max Mana are showing on, as well as the Centaur Hearts in the top left there. The room that Zeus is showing on that isn't the mini-boss, and the mini-boss room with Zeus itself. Because we have a very specific number of things we're looking for with this build, I'm going to sort of pivot midway through this Ephyra. So I'm making my decisions, kind of thinking about my strategy here. I'd like to see Giga Cleaver. Either Sworn or Nova Flourish. It looks like I'm going to go to Apollo first. That's because this was the most difficult and like lengthy room of all the rooms in Ephyra, so getting this out of the way early is good. Normally you don't want to take a difficult room if you lack the means to clear it quickly, but with Lucid Gain on board with Charon, I actually already deal enough damage to clear these like early rooms because I have effectively infinite uses of my Omega Special, thanks to Lucid Gain giving me mana every time I pop one of the casts. And what do you know, a great reward for that, Nova Flourish on Charon is great. Let's see if I can time my pause properly in this next room with Hera in it, and talk about why Nova Flourish is so good. It's a bit hard to do, but we'll try and time it. It's kind of hard to see what's going on right now because of the armored enemies fog. See, next time I go for one there. Oh, it's kind of hard to get it lined up exactly there. This is actually good. Okay, do you see in the bottom left corner over here? So there's this faded circle right here, and the faded circle is the total area of damage of one of Nova Flourish's pulses. Down here, you can see there's another of Nova Flourish's pulses, and they're overlapping slightly. This is the Venn diagram of death. Basically, Nova Flourish expanding each of the waves of Charon's Omega Special will make it so that those waves can overlap and deal damage. It also just means they cover a very large distance, so it's easy to catch multiple enemies in them. And of course, I have infinite uses of them due to Lucid Gain. So this is a very strong start. And the gameplay from here is very much going to be the same for almost the rest of the run. I pick up an upgraded and epic rarity fine line, so my Omega Special gets even stronger and also does even better against wards, which is normally pretty difficult to deal with. So every time I throw out one of those big Omega Specials, I'm also going to throw out a little laser beam that deals additional damage. Glory be, we get a skip as well. Heracles, mostly with Charon, the thing to keep in mind with Heracles is that the enemy density of each room goes up. So the primary concern is playing safe, staying at a distance, throwing out these Omega Specials while Lucid Gain restores my mana, but trying not to get too into like the heart of enemies. I don't need to worry about lining up lots of enemies. See, Gale had to bail me out there because I got a little careless. You can see me kind of retreating away to the corner. There's no real reason to, like, get in there and try to kill the enemies as quickly as possible because the timer isn't draining, so there's no real rush at all here. The primary concern in these rooms is always just mitigating the damage that you suffer yourself. Luckily, you managed to get a pretty good result as well. 140 gold is only 40 gold away from the max, and of course we hit the nuts for our build. Giga Cleaver, and I quickly test out to see if Giga Cleaver makes Fine Line work twice, but it does not. So I have a lot of great ingredients for the run so far, right? I have Nova Flourish, Lucid Gain, Fine Line, and I had Giga Cleaver, so I couldn't be happier with this Ephira. And I decide that I'm going to forego fighting the Zeus rooms and the Hef rooms entirely. At this point, I've decided I have so many good things, I have so much good damage out of my build that actually what I would like, a little bit of max mana for safety. Maybe I get Artemis. I didn't. And I also decide, I believe, to go, yes, to this Hex. Now, this is normally a very difficult room and not advised to go here this late in the run, but I've sort of pivoted my thinking because I have such a strong build and can go through this room very quickly as a result. Like, anything that gets caught in my, like, cast special combo blast is going to die. And, well, I'm not that intimidated by, you know, large swarms of enemies or the difficult rooms here. And because I had Heracles earlier, I'm much more comfortable with taking the time loss that a room like this would normally entail. In addition, I can also go to Medea, so I essentially will forsake Zeus at this point and the mid-boss encounter. And I'm rewarded for my choice with the great boon from Selene. I actually get offered Lunar Ray. Lunar Ray is really, really good on the surface, and we'll get more into why once I get into the Vow of Stars upgrades. I picked Traces of Spirit here. I think this is actually a mistake. Like I mentioned before, as long as I have Lucid Gain, I don't really need the maximum mana. There's no real reason for me to pick that up. And Enfeeblement of Cowards would have been much more useful and something that would actually have helped out the run. But that's Ephira. It took 3 minutes to get through. We have an incredibly powerful build. Do I now go for Zeus because I see him in the store, or do I forsake him yet again? Zeus is persistent. Thinking about my options are here. Ah, okay, so I've opened the Path of Stars menu to check it out, and I'm very pleased to see that we have a full complement of Path of Stars possibilities to upgrade. When you're looking at Lunar Ray, it's a bit paradoxical compared to, or not paradoxical, it's a bit unique compared to some of the other Hex upgrades. Normally with a Hex upgrade, you want to keep the mana cost relatively low, so you don't particularly care about taking the upgrades that are purple, the Sublime upgrades. However, I find Lunar Ray to be generally very, very difficult to use unless you get offered the Prominence upgrade. So Prominence essentially means that the Lunar Ray will fire independently of you and allow you to move around while it's firing. This is, in my opinion, the only real way at High Fear to use Lunar Ray effectively. So I'm obviously thrilled to see it. Trinity as well. This effectively triples the damage of Lunar Ray. Now, you might be saying, East, won't the enemies simply just get out of the way of the Lunar Ray, even if you have it tripled? To that I say, yes, they will. However, this is the important part. On the surface, the final boss, the arguably most difficult boss you have to fight in the entire run, doesn't move. It is a stationary boss. So this, if I can max out this entirety of the Path of Stars, every time Lunar Ray comes up, and it will come up pretty often because I'm using Giga Cleaver, Fine Line, Charon, so that is already about 60 or so mana per Omega Special, and I have infinite uses of it because of Lucid Gain. I'm going to be, even if I change the cost of this to be as high as possible, I'm going to be activating this a lot. And that means that pretty much any time during that Typhon fight, I activate Lunar Ray, it's like an immediate 4,000 damage to Typhon because he just can't get out of the way of all the different blasts. So, awesome. Awesome stuff to see here. So I'm going to be prioritizing upgrading this because I've already kind of got a complete-ish build on Charon. Do I go for Zeus? I honestly can't remember. No. There's almost nothing that Zeus can give me at this point that is good. Heaven Flourish is actually not bad on Charon at all as a compromise, but I already have such great boons on my special that there's really no need for me to do anything special. There's not too much to say about Polyphemus with Charon. Eternity is incredibly useful here so that you can charge up your moves without having to worry about Polyphemus hitting you during your windup. And as you can see, I'm pretty much just trying to stay behind him whenever possible. I think he grabs me here. Yeah, a bit embarrassing to get grabbed there. But that's a great example, actually, of... that's why we'll go back for a sec. This is a great example of how Charon can struggle in these moments. I start winding up my special while Polyphemus isn't foreshadowing, isn't like telling any of his attacks. But during the wind-up animation, he starts the grab, and unfortunately, by the time I let it go, I don't pre-dash, and because of my lack of execution there, I end up getting grabbed. But I'm pretty calm about this. Like, this isn't like a very difficult fight to get out of, and we end up clearing Aphira with about 1 minute and 20 seconds left. This would be a really interesting spot to try to go for the Aromatic Vial. Yeah, the Aromatic Vial Keepsake, because it would always hit Lucid Gain. It would always hit my gain. So if I had a gain that was worse than Lucid Gain, I would strongly consider going for Aromatic Vial to push it to Heroic here. But you really don't need Lucid Gain to be any stronger than Common level 4. That's already more mana than it cost me to use this like fully upgraded Fine Line Giga Cleaver Charon special. It should be said just how strong Lucid Gain is as a gain. I'm starting to feel like it eclipses almost every gain in the game except certain gains under certain circumstances, but it should be said that this level of mana regeneration is incredible. We go for the Moonbeam. Like I said, I'd like Lunar Ray to get fully upgraded as soon as possible, and at the very least, with all of the upgrades that I get from Moonbeam, I'll be able to unlock Prominence, and that means I can just start using Lunar Ray as part of my regular cycle of attacks. Thessaly is very interesting on Charon. There's a large delta of encounters. Essentially, if there are no ranged attackers, we're golden. Because we can just kind of stand in the corner and bomb out with Charon. Because we're so strong, we can mostly just bomb out with Charon anyway. So as you can see, I'm hovering Prominence. We go ahead and grab it. One sec. I want to highlight this as well. For a common benefit of a Path of Stars, Bearing is incredible. You get a few stacks of Bearing, and every time you use your Lunar Ray, it gives you like armor, so it's kind of like giving you a temporary damage shield in a boss fight. Like if you get Lunar Ray down and then like Heracles bops you over the head, or Prometheus hits you with a wave, or Eris hits you with a bomb, or Typhon hits you with his chin, if you didn't have any armor before, the armor you get from Bearing will like give you a damage shield. It's one of the better, I think, common things that you can get. Lunar Ray is such an interesting hex in that if you have enough of the right stuff and max it all out, it becomes incredibly powerful. But without that, it's like borderline unusable. It's really interesting as a dynamic. It's my second favorite hex to get on the surface, the other one being Night Bloom. Happy to see a conflict here. A little bit overconfident in going for... Oh, we got to pause here. A little bit overconfident going for Hera instead of Apollo there. I want to point out that after this run, like after I'd already completed the run, I was made aware that there is some sort of bug going on with Supernova and Charon Omega casts. As best I can understand it, looking at it, when Charon's Omega Special hits the cast, it pops the Omega cast as if it was at the maximum expiration. It was at the max cast size listed in Supernova. So every time Charon pops the cast, it pops as if it was 74% bigger, is my sort of like non-technical layman eye test understanding of what's happening here. Spoiler alert, I don't really abuse this. I don't get a lot of stuff that is strong with Omega casts at all. My cast is more or less just going to be a mana conduit for my Omega Special. I do pick up Rapture Ring, which doesn't really benefit at all from Charon's Omega cast detonations. I don't think I grab Local Climate or Prominence Flare or anything like that, so we're abuse-free in this run. Hera is quickly becoming my least favorite of all the family disputes. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to go to Apollo first. I thought maybe Prominence Flare was still in the pool, but it actually is still in the pool. But I don't have a cast, so I don't get offered. You can't get offered Prominence Flare without a cast. So unfortunately, that means I fight Hera. And the thing with Hera is that there's a long range on all of her bolts. And if you just don't... If you dash along the wrong axis, basically. I dash along that wrong axis twice, and I take like 60 damage from it. Nothing much to say there. Nexus Rush was fine. I am getting a little low on health and death defiances, which is a bit stressful because, you don't get offered a build like this that often with Jeweled Palm, so I'm definitely wanting to, like, kind of clutch up and recover things in this run. So let go the Prominence, get some armor from Bearing. Those guys have super armor, which is nightmarish, but we work it out. You can see already I'm definitely just playing more defensive, trying to stay in the corner a little bit more, trying to be a bit protective of my health after everything that happened in that last room. We have not yet seen Cersei or a mid shop, so we should do that up next here. Apollo once more, still no cast, but we do get offered Sun Worshipper, and that's pretty awesome. Just to talk a little bit about Sun Worshipper, one of the reasons it's so strong on Charon is because you're often playing from range. So what'll happen is you will use the Charon Bomb, hit things from far away, blow up a small enemy, and then revive it with Sun Worshipper, and that enemy will then start to like attack and preoccupy the ranged attackers in the backline so you can Charon Bomb them again. It's just a really nice like safety improvement for Charon, and also it just deals additional damage. It's very cool. Not too much to say here. This is an Icarus room. I can notice that because the timer is paused. Just taking it pretty easy. Again, Icarus, similar to Heracles, these sort of NPC room encounters really increase the encounter rate, like the amount of enemies that show up, which isn't really a problem for Charon as long as you kind of group everybody up. And luckily for us, we have infinite uses of a very strong Omega Special, and a little bit of help from Lunar Ray to finish things up. Tell him I said cheers, eh? Hazard Boom is funny, but we won't be doing that. Protective Coating is one of the best boons you can get from Icarus. It's really nice. Oh, let's talk about the preview patch and what it did to change Cersei and the mid shop. So, previously there were three rooms that were really, really good to get in Surface. And those are the Fountain Room, Cersei, and the mid shop. All three of these super player favored, skips an entire boat's worth of encounters. Very cool. In the preview patch, there was a note that says, makes Cersei more likely to appear or something like that, and also like fixed various level design and location things. What we found out that they actually did in the code was there is like a guarantee system in Thessaly that you will encounter one of these three rooms: Fountain, Cersei, or Midshop. If you haven't encountered one of them, you're almost guaranteed to encounter one of them by location 5 of Thessaly, which I believe is where we're at right now. We're in either location 5 or location 4, and we've encountered one of them. So the change that was made is it used to be a 1 in 3 chance for each of these, and what they did is they removed the Fountain Room from the situation entirely. You can still encounter a Fountain Room in Thessaly, but it's totally random. It's no longer part of the guarantee at all. So it's now a 50-50 chance of Cersei or Midshop, both of which are much stronger than Fountain Rooms. Fountain Rooms are good. They're not nearly as good as Cersei, who can give you some boons that do absolutely incredible things. Black Knight Banishment is one of the strongest NPC benefits you can get in the whole game. And the Midshop, which, as you can see, I have 557 gold already. I'm pretty eager to spend that money. So that is a very player-favorite change, and it should make surface running a lot easier if it's implemented. We do hit Black Knight Banishment here, and it removes Valve Scars. We don't have Wayward Sun equipped, unfortunately. However, we will get healing from fountains and food now for the rest of the run, and that's pretty good. I mean, it probably saves us at least 1 Death Defiance. Especially because we're not taking any additional damage to our health right now because we have Icarus's armor on. Not too much to say about like the gameplay of Charon from this point out. Like, as you can see, Gale is really helping me out. Obviously the not being able to see where the enemies are kind of sucks, but the gameplay for Charon is very similar. Cast, blast, cast, blast, cast, blast, and you're just doing that in a way that you can kind of control the game a little bit. Okay, here's where we pick up Rapture Ring. This is our origination, and also it's going to group enemies together so they get hit by all of our stuff more effectively. Let's talk about Eris. I was watching Cromweld. By the way, if you guys don't follow them, twitch.tv/Cromweld. Be sure to check out their streams. And one thing I was noticing is that Cromweld was really having a difficult time with the Eris fight. This is the non-rivals Eris fight on Surface for speedrunning with Charon. Eris is a very difficult opponent for almost every Omega-focused build. because by the time you finished channeling your Omega moves, she is not standing where she was before. She is in the corner because she's charged through you and dealt you 60 damage, or she's flown up into the air and is somewhere else. So, in order to counteract that, pretty much almost entirely to counteract this fight, I run the Eternity Arcana. It's a 3-cost Arcana that essentially slows time while you are using an Omega move. So that is... it obviously has some protective benefits, like, throughout the run. Sorry, I got a cough. And it, like, helps with safety, like, not getting hit. But I would not run it if not for this fight in particular. This is... it takes forever, and you don't really deal any damage, and you can, like, really mess this fight up. Which is an otherwise, like, not too dangerous fight. Like, again, just generally try to stay behind Eris and deal your damage in between her sort of turns of attacking. Not too much else to say. Like, she always stands still after this. After her last volley of the Lucifer orbs, she doesn't fly up pretty much ever. She always stays still and tries to shoot you. So pre-setting up your damage rotation to hit her immediately after she becomes actionable again usually means you can kill her before she gets an attack off, which is pretty good. All right, welcome to Olympus, where things are normally pretty slow and terrible, but in no small part thanks to our guaranteed Cersei mid shop. We have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. This is a pretty fast Thessaly overall. And good stuff all around. I have 90 armor, so whenever I have high armor, I'm pretty inclined towards taking the Silken Sash keepsake. I'm not sure what keepsake I do take here. Looking up Blackened Fleece. No. Is it Sash? Sash seems wrong. Knucklebones? East, what are you doing? No way, man. This is really interesting. What do I end up going for? Well, you have to pick something. Ah, I know what I do here. I'm looking for maybe a couple more boons, maybe some health. Mostly money to get back my Death Defiances. I think I go Krolex here. Yeah, the rare 3rd biome Krolex. Yeah. The timepiece will let us turn stuff into boons, or Death Defiances, or other things you can buy with money. We don't really need too much damage, and we're pretty safe in terms of, like, not dying. Also, my logic is that if I take a lot of damage, I can actually buy food because Scars is disabled. So for that reason, I'm pretty happy to spend a lot of money and get a lot of money as a result. Olympus tends to have a fairly high concentration of ranged attackers, but as you can see, when they don't show up, it actually is quite nice for us. And Sun Worshipper, as the enemies get stronger and stronger in each biome, Sun Worshipper does more and more for us because it brings back a better and better enemy. No Sudden Cleaver, unfortunately, but we do strip armor now very easily with our initial attack, or sorry, our initial special twirl before the bomb comes down. I won't be taking too much advantage of that, like intentionally getting close to armored enemies is usually a pretty bad idea. And you're going to see plenty of damage anyways from the Omega Special. Armored, hit stun, not hit stunnable, rocketing enemies are pretty terrible. We do okay, and we get our first purge for 300 gold. Good stuff. We get a nice chaos here. This is going to speed things up quite a bit. Chaos as an encounter skip is nice. And the HP we have to pay is not permanent, as we do have scars disabled by Black Knight Banishment. So, good room to get chaos. Bit of an insane room to get here. We have an invulnerable, armored shooter, and a very narrow place to stand topographically. There goes our... We have unfortunately lost our armor from Icarus, so our invulnerability will not carry over to the Prometheus fight. But we get to move over to Chaos. After a bit of dialogue, we get offered some Chaos boons. A bit of insight here, like, I'm going to end up taking Excruciating Revival here, not necessarily because I want the HP regeneration per room. Like, I have scars disabled, so, like, healing is not really that much of an issue. I have the Krolex, so not being able to earn money, it kind of sucks. Although the benefit is nice. It also won't activate until Summit. Being able to channel your moves 10% faster is nice against Typhon, but it's much nicer against the heroes. Do we call them heroes? Promocles against Prometheus and Heracles. Your specials deal 61% more damage would be nice. I do think that Paralyzing Flourish is one of the only ways that I could lose badly in the next few rooms. It's the worst, in my opinion, other than like losing all of your Arcana cards. It's one of the worst Chaos Curses you can take. So I'm just going to take Excruciating Revival. Taking more damage sucks, but I can play pretty safe on Charon. As a result, I shouldn't be too in trouble there. Sirens popping off. The revival will come in handy, like it'll heal me at different points, but I mostly did that sort of any reason you can Krolex the Chaos Boon to avoid getting 3 bad curses. I find with Charon there's a lot of upside for going to Chaos. In general, I don't like Krolexing Chaos Boons because I think there's like way too much upside. And I find that you're not very rarely are you going to get 3 curses that completely screw you over. But that's an option. I should maybe start considering doing that more often. Racing Thoughts. We end up getting faster Omega moves anyways. I can never remember whether or not the speed increases actually work on Charon, but I believe they do now. Boom! So, Talos, I don't know if this is, like, unique or anything. I don't think it is. I almost always just kill both of the automatons, and then you can sort of see by looking at the HP bar just how strong we are at this point. Boom. Big damage. I believe this is the first Demeter that we've encountered. Arctic Gale, very cool. And we get to put more upgrades into our Hex. Again, not too much to say in terms of clearing out this room. I'm trying to... One of the things that's kind of screws me up visually is that Hestia's fire that she leaves behind from her statue activation thing looks a lot like the fire that you're not supposed to stand in. So I often try to like avoid standing in it, even though there's no reason to do that. This is a 4 waivers, so I'm pretty sure this is natural Athena at this point. Especially when watch how many, like, a comically large amount of these like shooting guys come out of the ground. I'm like, okay, this is Athena for sure. Natural Athena is bad for timer, but our timer's looking great. So we're really happy to see her. We do get to upgrade our Lunar Ray. We'll probably take Apollo at this point. Maybe we won't, actually. Nope, that seems like a mistake, but whatever. Purple Renewed Faith from Natural Athena. At this point, I'm pretty confident the run is well in hand at this point. I don't know if I've ever made it to this part of Coral Crown. Because Sirens is usually not a hard fight one way or the other. Or not a slow fight one way or the other. Either she's dead or you're dead. What a banger. Thank you, Darren Korb. Oh, for Itos, this is something I should talk about. So Itos the Eagle has just spawned and is here to ruin my life, as you can see. It's squaring up right now to get me. I have a pretty similar strategy to Itos that I use for the mini-boss Charybdis. I just run to one side of the room, and then as soon as I see Itos' circle pop up, I dash and run away to the other side of the room. And then just try to deal with Itos from there, normally. I like that you can still hear the clock sound, even in the Sirens version of the Run Lost theme. Okay, and with that, we have 3 minutes and 23 seconds to fight Bromocles, which is a ton of time. I end up taking Snow Queen over Local Climate here because I wanted to just have more defense. I don't feel like I need any more help dealing damage to win the run. Still have a Curlex charge, which is good for the Summit mini-boss. And we have all kinds of stuff working in our favor here. So, Prometheus and Heracles on Charon. You'll see me spend a lot of time running and dashing away as I set up my stuff. No attack boon reminds me of the Nurgle run. Well, having no attack boon on Charon is, I think, fine, right? I don't think I've clicked attack in a pretty long time. Anyways. The key to this fight with Charon, in my opinion, is to essentially just keep running and dashing away and keeping my distance from them. And then just activating my Lunar Ray whenever I can. For the quick little armor boost, and also just to help me with Sun Worshipper, just to help me with doing chip damage from range. Charon is very slow, so you generally don't want to get too up close to Prometheus, because by the time you're finished channeling your thing, either Prometheus or Heracles have like hit you for a ton of damage, and it's not really a sustainable way to go about doing things. You see, I do get hit there, but I'm playing very safely. See, I don't really try to antagonize Heracles pretty much at all while avoiding the fire. Just the attack pattern for Charon is very slow. I've been dodged. Eat my laser beam. Unfortunately, I do get clipped by that Heracles attack. But we kind of clutch things up from there. Take one hit that we probably didn't want to take. But swiftly dodge out of the way in no small part thanks to Arctic Gale working those spears, making them dodgeable. And we end up getting through Prometheus without dying. That's like super important because Scars is disabled, right? So we can heal up in the fountain. And also get some revival procs. We get 3 ticks of revival healing us as well. So we should be full health by the time we get to our first encounter room. We're happy to see Path of Stars. I actually should have checked. I don't believe I did. Whether or not it would have been enough. But we do pick up Trinity and also our Apollo Godsent. Did the fountain heal? Yeah, Black Knight Banishment has turned off Scars this run, Red. We stayed at the bed and breakfast. I talked about that earlier in the run, that Cersei is now a 50% encounter instead of a 33%. by like room 5 of Thessaly. On top of her normal appearance rate, it's a really nice player buff for her surface in the preview patch. Light of the Sun. The first room in Summit I find is generally the most time consuming and the most dangerous, but it was pretty manageable there. The reason for that is that enemy encounter weights are lowered if they're armored, and enemies later in the surface tend to be, later in the summit tend to be armored. Twins of Typhon is a pretty similar story to Prometheus and Heracles. You're going to see me do a lot of dodging, like dashing back away from them with the cast up. Also, they die super fast. Our damage is impressive, especially with the Light of the Sun. Shine so bright it hurts. Nova Flourish 30% damage upgrade is super nice. Got to get inside the darkness to be able to deal damage. The Light of the Sun. Sorry, I'll stop. To be able to get in there and deal damage to them. How much gold does Triple Palm sack for? I don't know. Like maybe I'm just like a bad Krolex user, but I feel like people are way too crazy. I already have 1,000 gold, right? Like I don't need more gold. Music to my ears. Okay, gotta stop. We're gonna end the run with like 500 extra gold or whatever. Eye is better than Tail for this sort of build. This is a good preview for what the Typhon fight is like. Eye of Typhon can't move, so it's basically just going to stand there and take a full power Lunar Ray to the face, and then the full brunt of Charon, and go down without much of a challenge at all. The main thing in that fight is to make sure the little guys don't get you in the back, and that's just a matter of constantly dashing. And we get to fully max out, get dispersion, intensity. So mechanically, there are like some somewhat interesting things going on in this fight. We're gonna spend all our money here on health. Pick up 3 Centaur Hearts and some armor to help us out. Can't buy that to heal because we don't need health. So, the main way that you die to Typhon with Charon... Here, I'll let him show up first. Okay. The main way that you die to Typhon on Charon is that you get careless with channeling while he's about to do something. So, generally speaking, you can help yourself out a lot with Charon in this fight by baiting Typhon to use his Chin Slam, dashing away, and then using that period of time to throw down the Omega Special. Eternity is also a big help in this fight. It just gives you more safety windows to throw out your Omega Special. Also, like, playing back and from a distance, nothing wrong with that. And also, in the case of this sort of run, I have almost 5 minutes. Just, like, take your time. Don't worry about getting in and putting on Origination or anything like that. Take your time, throw your blasts from a distance, throw your Lunar Rays from a distance. Typhon can't get out of the way of your fully charged Lunar Ray, so put it in his face, deal 1 billion damage. And you can see I go to the safety corner. I don't need to, because I have Old Grudge that I completely forgot about. Old Grudge gets us out of that phase really quickly, and it's good because it means I'm going to start the next phase of Typhon with Lunar Ray active. Boom, Typhon just takes 5,000 damage from Lunar Ray. We retreat to the corner, keep throwing down our things. He starts channeling that, we dash in. Beautiful. Often in this phase, I like to run at Typhon and just deal a bunch of damage to try and phase him quickly. In this, you'll see me play a little bit more safe than that. I do still get hit and lose a charge of levers, but I play a little more safely than I normally do in that phase. The tongue slime is up. I don't quite make it to the corner in time, but that's okay. Again, he takes like 2,000 damage and phases. We make it to the corner. We don't die to the insta-kill. I wonder if anyone's had a 62 clear in which they've been hit by the Typhon, the Kronos insta-kill in the Typhon fight. Once again, that time I was a little bit early on Lunar Ray. I'm gonna retreat to the corner again. Fun fact about retreating to the corner, I don't know if anyone saw that, but not only is that corner somewhere that Typhon's tongue slime can't hit you, you'll notice Kronos' dash also can't reach that corner either, so it's safe from both moves. It's a really nice place to play with ranged aspects. Getting close. Okay, here comes the chin slam. I let it break my armor, summon some more. We're kind of playing a little recklessly here. We have a lot of health. We get armor every time we use our Lunar Ray. And a bit strange here. I'm wondering why my Lunar Ray isn't up. I was just 3 seconds too slow. And there we go. All done. Decisive, that fight. I'm not good at Babality. That's what this is called in the code. This phase is probably one of my worst executed phases, but I'm pretty chill right now. I find, for some reason, if I have to go to the left instead of the right, I do better. I just have a better sense for like how to dodge the Kronos balls and Typhon stuff at the same time if I'm on the left side of the screen. As soon as I go to the right side, I like lose my timing. Here's one of the first changes to the Typhon fight in the preview patch. Prior in 1.0, Engrave Pin's Moros Doom counter would continue to tick and even speed up a little bit during this cutscene in which Malinoe transforms back into herself. Instead, it will now pause, and he'll resume counting once you regain control of Mel, which is really nice. And the second change, which is, I think, a nice quality of life change that I hope they keep. After being defeated, after Kronos and Typhon collapse, Typhon comes up in this weakened state, and you kind of like beat him up, kind of victory beat him. He used to fire one more full damage seeking ball. I have lost a 62 run, I believe Supe, to that ball. And now the ball's gone. Both my runs I did, and also Frey's run, they confirmed to me as well that the post-Babality ball is no more. Once you have won Babality, you win the run. It's nice. Alrighty. That is Charon. So, let's talk a little bit about the build here. I think as I said at the start of the video, I think the key ingredients to a good Charon run are Lucid Gain, Nova Flourish, and Giga Cleaver. Those are sort of the three main ingredients to a powerful Charon run. The nice thing that was paired really well with this run was the maxed out Lunar Ray with Prominence. Super important, very, very strong. Pretty fast run, 17-14. I had I'm getting a lot faster runs on surface in the preview patch through Thessaly. I find my times are a lot safer. I think this is both a combination of me improving my execution and taking less damage. Taking damage is slow. So my improvement on execution there has been a big factor. And also, I believe that the changes to Cersei's encounter rate is really nice. Yeah, not much else to say. This was a pretty nice run. And yeah, let's do our little YouTube outro here. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, make sure you like and subscribe. Tell all your friends. You can find runs like these, twitch.tv/east_25, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Until then, until next time, talk to you later.